Hello everybody, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming, bringing you another video. Enjoying all the videos and content we produce, don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that like button, and don't be afraid to share. Don't forget to click on the notification button, customize it however you want, but that way you're notified whenever we publish another video. Hello everyone, welcome to another Diablo 3 video here for Season 27. We are looking at the Witch Doctor again. The build today is we are looking at the Spirit of Arachyr. So for those that are unfamiliar, the two-piece bonus for this is we're going to summon a permanent Spider Queen. So that's this big black friendly thing here beside us. And we're connected to it by an infested thread. Enemies caught in the thread are infested, and then Core Spider attacks against infested enemies, inflict the same damage to all infested enemies. And the Spider's Queen basically goes where you move and you cast your Corpse Spider. So if I throw my Corpse Spiders over there, she's just going to follow them around. And then that thread between is what we need to kind of drag through the enemies in order to get them infested. The 4-piece bonus is the Spider Queen now leaves behind webs that last for 15 seconds and slows enemies. Infested enemies remain infested while on the web, and we take 75% reduced damage while in the web for 4 seconds afterwards. And then lastly, our 6-piece bonus is the damage of our creature skills is increased by 25,000%, which is our Corpse Spider skill. Plagatoads, Firebats, Locust Swarm, Hex, and Piranhas, but mainly it's the Corpse Spiders that is going to be our big damage boost. So without further ado, let's take a look at what this looks like in some gameplay. So here we are again, just in a 105. So basically the way this one works, it's a little bit different than the last couple seasons. As you can see, we got our flag going everywhere, and then everything that's affected by our haunt here is going to get in. So like it's got a 60-yard pull due to the new sanctified affix. We're just going to pull that around, and then it just pulls everything all together. Then we just get to throw our Core Spiders on top. And now we actually get to stay in Jaunt for as long as we want here until we find a magic group due to our offhand. So let's just get our Locust up. Get our Haunt up. And we're just going to start throwing. And now when we cast our Pyronado, it just pulls everything into a nice group continuously for us as it keeps proccing due to our Graven Justice. So it's pretty sweet that way. So let's just see how this is going to work. So we got our elite, just going to do a ton of haunts here, get as much picked up as possible. And then when we do our Pyronado, it just does that and pulls everything into a nice group for us. And it keeps pulling them in, keeps pulling them in. That's actually pretty sweet. That's basically all there is to this build. Is we want to get our haunt out, our locust. It's going to spread everywhere. You can just see it jumping everywhere. And where the heck did the elite go? Oh, he disappeared on me. That was nice. And that's basically all there is to it. See, as we... There we go. Finally got him down. Alright, let's just do that again just to show what the gameplay looks like. So here we're going to put out our locusts, haunts all over the place. Get some more haunts. I don't know how this is going to work with the fences. Let's just see. Oh, I tried to, but there's the fence in the way, so it stopped. And then as soon as we get everything grouped up, we're going to pull them back in, and we're just throwing our Corpse Spiders into it, and keep throwing them, keep throwing them, keep throwing them. We are a little bit squishy, but that's the joys of just being the Witch Doctor. But we have our invulnerability when we can just keep jumping into our Spirit Realm. But otherwise, that is actually pretty fun. Not sure why these guys keep disappearing on me. Whatever. He just disappeared yet again. Okay, and there we go. We got him down again. Just for fun, just going to do it once more. Oh, we got a nice little shield here, so let's just grab that. See how much we can pull here. I was hoping for more. Pull them over here. It's got the 60-yard pull, but we're going to have things in the way. So here we go. We're going to cast a Pyronado. Just casted that right there. And then we're just going to throw our Corpse Spiders, and again it just pulls everything in, pulls everything in. It's actually pretty sweet. But yeah, so that's basically the build. I'm not going to show the rest of the rift because it's not as speedy, just because I'm trying to emphasize the stacking mechanics. So without further ado, let's jump into the gear that we actually need for this. All right, just a quick recap once again. So basically, we are going to put our Locust Swarm out, and we're going to put Haunt on a ton of stuff. Obviously get our Soul Harvest up to 10 for survivability, and then when we cast Pyronado, they're all going to stack in the middle, and it's going to be wonderful. And then we can just start throwing our Corpse Spiders on the group, and of course by then the thread will have went through them, so they'll be taking multiple damage, and the damage will be spread to all of them, which is a nice, quick, easy stack mechanic, and then blow them up. All right, so the items that we're using in this build. We're wearing 5 pieces of the Arachyr, Spirit of the Arachyr set, so it means we're using Ring of the Royal Grandeur in the cube. So for this, we are wearing the helm, the shoulders, the chest, the gloves, and the boots. And then for our neck, we are using the Traveler's Pledge Compass Rose combination for Endless Walk. So the set bonus for this, the 2-piece bonus is while moving, damage taken is reduced by up to 50%. So as you can see down here in the bottom, I have my damage reduction, and then we have damage increase because, of course, the offset to this is while standing still, damage delta is increased by up to 100%. For our bracers, we're using Lakumba's Ornament, so reduce all damage taken by 60% if your Soul Harvest stack is at least 1. At worst, this could be 1 to 3, so I have a good one here at 1, and then an additional 2% for each stack of Soul Harvest. For our other ring, so obviously we have the Compass Rose for 1, and then our other ring that we're wearing is the Ring of Emptiness. So this is you and your non-fetish pets deal up to 300% increased damage to enemies affected by either your Haunt or Locust Swarm. So that's why we want to spread Locust Swarm everywhere to get that buff. And then for our belt, Corpse Spiders deal an additional up to 100% damage, and each Corpse Spider bite causes to take an additional 1% damage from Corpse Spiders for 5 seconds. So like nice little buff there. For our pants, we're using Depth Diggers. So primary skills deal up to 100% more damage. And the reason for that is our main damage ability is Corpse Spiders, and that is a primary skill. So obviously for our gem, we're going to be using Simplicity Strength, but we'll cover that a bit more detail in a little bit. For our mojo, our offhand, we are using the Shakrani's Triumph. I probably butchered that pronunciation, but it is what it is. So after using Spirit Walk, it will continue to last until we've attacked 3 times or until we run into an elite enemy within 20 yards. Attacks while in the Spirit Realm deal up to 100% more damage. So basically we enter the Spirit Realm, we are forever in here until we run into an elite, or if we do 3 attacks, it'll pop us out. Then lastly, for our weapon, we are using Sacred Harvesters. So here, Soul Harvest now stacks up to 10 times, so that gives us some nice damage mitigation, survivability. So it's going to give us armor with the combination of the ornament. And then the Sanctified Affix that we're using in this build is enemies are affected by Locust Swarm are also haunted. And then when we cast Piranhas, all haunted enemies within 60 yards are pulled into a big pool. And then a lesser enemy stunned by the Bogodile is instantly killed. And then elites and bosses stunned by Bogodile take massive damage. So that's why we are going to put our haunts on everything. And then when we cast our piranhas, it pulls in from that huge radius that you can see there and pulls them into the middle that we then just throw our spiders on and blow up. Taking a look at the legendary gems used in this build. So we are using Enforcer. So this increases the damage of your pets by a certain percent. And then at rank 25, our pets take 90% less damage. So the Corpse Spiders and our Spider Queen count as pets, so that's why we're using Enforcer. We are using Simplicity Strength, as mentioned, because this increases the damage of our primary skills by a certain percent. And then at rank 25, hits with primary abilities heal us for 4% of our maximum life, giving us some nice life regen. And we're not using Stricken because we're going to get basically a Stricken bit out of our belt here with the increased damage that they're taking from the Corpse Spiders. Then lastly, we're using Bane of the Trap because so increased damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects by X%. And then at rank 25, we gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%, thus proccing the effect that is going to give us the bonus damage from Bane of the Trap. In the cube, we are using the Corpse Spider or the Spider Queen's Grasps. And so this is because Corpse Spiders deal an additional 800% damage and release a web on impact that slows enemies by 80%. So you could interchange this with the Sacred Harvester if you want, but basically you would require an insanely good ancient roll because of the affix here, the 800%. So it's easier just to cube that rather than the Sacred Harvester. For our armor, we are using Mask of Germs, so our pets deal 200% increased damage. And then, as mentioned in our jewelry slot here, we're using the Ring of Royal Grandeur, which is reduce the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1, which is how we're able to get our 6-piece with 5 pieces, and then that enables us to use the Pants of Depth Diggers. Lastly, let's take a look at our skills here. So we are using Locust Swarm with the Pestilence Rune, which helps it spread to additional enemies, which is going to be proc our Ring of Emptiness. Then, of course, we're using Haunt with Poisoned Spirits, so haunted enemies are going to take more damage from our attacks. And this is what we're putting on everything, so when we use our Piranhas, it's going to warp them all into the middle for us. Here's our big damage dealer. We're using Corpse Spiders with Widowmakers, so just throw a deadly jar of Widowmaker Spiders. And our Spirit Walk, so this is our movement, and also a bit of invulnerability because we can't be damaged while we're in the Spirit Realm. So basically we enter the Spirit Realm and then with our Mojo, we're in there until we attack 3 times or run into an elite. We're using Soul Harvest with Languish, so we're going to feed on the life forces of enemies and it increases our intelligence for 30 seconds, and that's stacks up to 10 times, and it also increases our armor for each enemy harvested. It also just has the side effect of reducing the enemy's movement speed. Then lastly, we're using Piranhas, and this time we're using Bogadile instead of Pyronado because we don't need Pyronado because we're getting that from our Sanctified Affix. And so we're going to summon a Bogadile that goes into the pool, and it just causes enemies affected to take additional damage, and it has a stun. And also with the unique affix, where it's going to deal massive damage to elites and Rift Guardians. So for our passive skills here, because we are a little bit squishy-ish when we're outside our spirit realm, we have Spirit Vessel, so this is just a second life or a third life, as we're going to get one from our follower as well. So when we receive fatal damage, you automatically enter the spirit realm for 2 seconds and heal to 50% of your max life, and that can only happen once every 60 seconds. Because we're up close and personal in this build, we're going to have Confidence Ritual, so we deal 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards. I was using Creeping Death, so our Haunt, Locust Swarm, and Piranhas basically last forever, so this just helps so I only have to apply it once and don't ever have to refresh it. And then, of course, if they're affected by Haunt, they're just constantly brought in whenever we cast Piranhas. And then lastly, we're using Graven Justice. We're going to gain 1% of our max life and mana and reduce the cooldown of all of our skills by 1 second when an enemy dies within 20 yards. And then the range is extended by our gold pickup radius. So that is the build in a nutshell. So again, just a refresher, we're going to put out our Locust, put on Haunt onto as many things as we can, get our Soul Harvest to 10 stacks, and then when we cast our Piranhas, we're going to get the web between us and our enemies so that they're affected and infested by the web, and then we're just going to throw our Corpse Spiders on top of them until they die, and that's going to give us another Piranhas, and just cycle, rinse and repeat. We can keep just grouping them up. The one thing to watch out for is on maps with like in the cemetery map there, you can see that it doesn't pull through, obstacles, obviously. So you will need a nice big area in order to get the big pull in to stack them up nicely. But anyways, that's enough for me. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. As always, we appreciate likes, shares, and subscribe, so please click those buttons. We appreciate it. And lastly, I'm streaming on Twitch on Thursdays and Saturdays, so please check it out. Come in, hang out. I'll probably do some other days throughout the week, but Thursdays and Saturdays are for sure. Would love to see you there. Let's have some fun. So that's it for me. Until next time, I hope you're enjoying Diablo 3 Season 27.